in Peoria, Illinois. I'm a general dentist, and today we are going to be sharing some nuggets that I learned over the last week. I was away, and I was away on a mastermind, and I just wanted to share and bring all the highlights to you. You guys must have seen one of my posts. I had all the pictures with Jesse Itzler, with Brad Sumrock, with Jen Sumrock, and the entire Sumrock community. I just wanted to bring this over, like what I learned and what's out there, and share some nuggets and tips with you guys. So with that being said, I would like to get started with our co-hosts, Jonny and Tom. Let's go, guys. Let's start with Jonny. Let's introduce yourself first.
Hey guys, I'm Dr. Jonny Walker. I'm an endodontist for 13 years, a veteran endodontist. I've been a real estate investor for 12 years. We've had a lot of success in the multifamily arena. We've really focused in that arena in the last 4 years. And we've invested in over 600, close to 700 apartment units now. And we are looking to keep on going and building passive income and building wealth through multifamily real estate.
Awesome. All right, guys. Hey, my name is Thomas Bibi Varghese, and I'm so excited to be part of this show today with Noel and Jonny. And I'm an entrepreneur by profession. I started I own a digital marketing company, and I also own another physical products company that we sell online. And I started my real estate investing career a couple of years ago. Right now in about 600 units as a general partner, and about more than 1,000 units as a general partner and limited partner combined. And I'm so excited about this investing experience because this is something that changes people's lives, and it really impacts them not only for this time, but it is something that you can leave a legacy. It is something that you can really impact your next generation, a generation after that. So that's why I'm really excited about real estate, and very excited that we do this live every week to share what we learn. So Noel, man, that I saw some of your posts. That was, man, that ice plunge though, dude. I mean, you were in some camp. I mean, what was going on? Tell us what's going on there.
Let me start off with this here. If this was like last year, or if this was even before I had my mindset trained, I would have never done any of this stuff. I would have never done an ice cold plunge. I would have never done like all the endurance. I would have never done those rope course. And it's
before you go into all of those, before you go into all of that, kind of where did you do all these things? I mean, tell us a little bit about where did you go? So
Perfect.
Noel, last week he missed our live because
I was at the airport.
He was at the airport,
yeah,
attempting to get on as a very dedicated co-host. But Noel was actually on a very special industry, very well-known and well-respected mastermind group. And he was at it's a retreat, right? Was it a retreat essentially?
It's actually, yeah, it's actually, I think you should reframe it like it's actually a step up above masterminds, right?
Yeah.
So this is part of a
Sure, yeah, I'm not sure. Sorry if I misspoke. Yeah, kind of explain to us exactly what it is. I mean,
excellent, guys. Here's the thing. What I loved about this whole thing was like hanging around with all the high performance individuals that were there. And basically, like, these guys are all of them are multifamily investors. I mean, these guys are seasoned investors. They've been doing it for decades, and hanging around them and learning from them and seeing them and, like making kind of like feeling how the mindset works. I mean, that was priceless. And what I'm here sharing is whatever I learned last week was to bring it down to the group, share my experience, share my, like what I learned with these guys. I mean, the first things first, it's all about mindset. And when we talk about mindset, we're talking about
we can't wait to hear about what you learned. Actually, you paid tens of thousands of dollars to join.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So I mean, it's it's a privilege and an honor for us to learn. I mean, we've been part of masterminds, so it's really important that we get to hear from you, that you pay tens of
See,
thousands of
here's the
dollars.
beauty. Here's the beauty about us. We are diversified. So, like Jonny, for example, he is in one set of mastermind, right? You are in another set of mastermind. I'm in another set of mastermind. And what are we doing here is we are just collaborating. So we are basically all the three minds, we are coming together. And the fact that when we can collaborate with so many different mastermind groups, when we bring it down to the group, I mean, that's priceless. What we are paying or investing in these groups, it's pretty significant investment. And that's what I bring in. It's like, we have to invest in ourselves. And when we invest in ourselves, we are learning from these guys. We are basically leveraging the track record. We are leveraging the experience. We are leveraging a lot of things, time, money, and everything to expedite our learning process so that we can bring it to the group. And that is what I did this last week. What I did was just a mindset shift. When I talk about mindset shift, we are talking about like, being comfortable, being uncomfortable, right? So you're talking about the cold plunge. Never did that in my life. I mean, I do take cold showers in the morning, but nothing like a cold plunge. All right.
What is a cold plunge?
Man.
For the people that don't know,
I
what
take
is
like a cold shower. The first thing I do is I just go in there in the morning and I take
even when it's cold, do you do that? Like,
oh hell yeah, I still do it, man. 3:25 a.m. my alarm goes off, and that's the time I start, and my day starts at that time.
3:25.
3:25.
What time you go to sleep?
What time do you go to sleep?
Well, let's put it this way: it's almost bedtime, right? Just kidding. Yeah. So around 8:30, 9 o'clock, I go to sleep. So, but here's the thing, guys: when you are in that mindset, right? When you are basically standing in line and waiting for your turn to go, it's all fair and good. But when it's your turn, man, I mean, you're the next person in line to get in that ice dump. In that ice dump, I mean, it's a total shift in commitment. So when you do that, basically what are you telling yourself is that you're focused, you're committed, and you're determined that you'll get it done. Now, of course, there is training before, like breathing exercises. Then there is some sort of breathing, like, like after when you get out, some heating exercises that you do. But I mean, at that time, you can train all you want. But when you're in that ice water, everything goes out the window, right? So
how long do you stay inside?
Well, there were guys who were in there for 5 minutes. I was in there for 2.5. So, I mean, the key is when you're in there, you're so focused that you basically have this whole shift in your head that you're so focused and all the distractions go out of your head. And now you start feeling like anything in life, like when we do things, when we make big decisions, when we want to invest, when we want to buy, something for ourselves or any kind of big investment that we do, or even buy a big purchase, we always get stuck in that mindset scenario that, hey, you know what, I want to do it, but we're standing on the sidelines. We're just waiting. So what the ice plunge does is it basically unlocks that mechanism in our heads that we can actually go ahead and get it done. It's okay to go on the other side of fear. Once we pass that fear, what happens is then there's glory on the other side. But we are so tied up in ourselves that we are always standing on the sidelines and never want to pull the trigger, never want to take action. So when we did this exercise, it was solely for all the people in there that was involved, and mainly they were all investors. So it was just to unlock that grid, that last minute decisions that you have to make, or the last minute cold feet that we get, that we don't want to pull the trigger. So that's what it did.
Absolutely.
Right? And if you think about it, a lot of times we do get stuck in our own heads. We come in our own way and then we don't want to do it. And that's what
we are our own enemy, basically. Right.
Absolutely. See, we know, like, for example, everybody knows this is the last year to take advantage of the taxes. Everybody knows that multifamily is de-risked. Everybody knows that. However, you will see like most of us will stand on the sidelines and waiting for the best opportunity to come by. And you know what? It's going to come by and pass by and we won't even know what happened.
And then we'll end up paying the tax man big money.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. So this is all kind of like indirectly tied to this. Now, with the obstacle rope course, I mean, that was something else. You have to climb up, a pole, which is about 30 feet high, even though you're all secured with cables and stuff, but still. It's a catwalk. So it's like 2 trees, right? And then there's this little ledge, like a little telephone pole that you got to walk through and then come back. 30 feet high. Never did in my life. But man, I mean, at
wait
that
a minute.
Time,
you're walking on a rope?
Oh, not a rope. It's a telephone pole.
Man. Okay.
right? It's a
Wow.
telephone pole. And then when you do that, you kind of go across, and then basically you're overcoming the fear of heights. The reason we do that is so that any fear that we have, we take care of it, right? And that's what the whole
You
thing
face
was.
it. You face your fear head
Face it,
on.
man. You face it. And then when you face it, you are like on the other side of fear. You are like, hey, you know what? We can do it.
Yeah.
Fear don't
And the
live
best
here.
Fear
part
is
Fear
was,
don't live here no more,
fear.
man.
Exactly.
right,
Fear is,
right, right.
there's an acronym for fear that I always remember is false evidence appearing real. That's what fear
False
is.
evidence. It's not real. It's
Yeah.
all in our heads.
Yeah.
And that is the main thing what they were trying to do with our mindsets. And I would always urge everybody as, you know what, go face that fear and
Hey,
go
by
get
the way,
it.
did your wife also do all this?
Oh,
I
hell
know she
yeah.
was.
She
Oh
did
my
it too. Yeah.
gosh, dude, she's brave. Oh
Yeah.
my-
She said she would never do a cold plunge. She said she would never do the catwalk. She said she would never do any of that stuff. But guess what? She got it done, all of them, because of the good support, the great support that we have from all the other members of the group. I mean, these guys cheered everybody off and just got it done. It's like a teamwork, like a collaboration work.
Mhm.
And this is where I saw like the true, like personality on these people, where somebody was asking me, how do you find these sponsors? How do you trust them? Like these are all the things that will actually, where we cherish the relationships. That
So
comes
Awesome.
to
So
these
let
kind
me
of
let me
events.
ask you this to kind of summarize your point here about mindset and fear. Now, number one, do you think that this has changed you or your wife potentially in any impactful way, or is this kind of a feel good like we did something mentally, or do you think that there's some actual impact?
change.
Number one. And number two, I mean, let's start with that. I mean, number one, I mean, do you think that this actually has results? I mean,
Yeah.
I've heard of, other sort of extreme type of things with that Tony Robbins and all that.
Walking on the fire.
Yeah, walking, exactly what I was thinking of, walking across the hot coals. What's your take on that? I mean, did it really change your life? Do you think it changed
This is a
everyone's
great
life?
question, and it all depends on who you ask. For me, I would say my answer would be if you go with intentionality, basically if you're intention about what you're trying to achieve, if you're intention about what you're trying to get the result on the other end, it definitely works. Okay. But
Great.
if your intentionality is not there, it's not going to work.
Right.
Right. Everybody would just go like a hoo-ha, and then guess what? They're done and they come out and they all had a good time and that's it. But if you really take it to the point, to the heart, that if you did that and it kind of changed your life there a little bit, and now anytime in the future where you're going to have those opportunities that's going to come up, you will definitely make a change there.
Sure. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, beautiful.
That's
Awesome.
great. So that's a great takeaway. I mean, what would be another major takeaway from your experience?
Yeah, the other takeaway is, hey man, relationships. We cannot underestimate that relationship and networking with a lot of people. And it's all about knowing. It's like more about you can, let's put it this way. We cannot, every time we have like a deal or we talk about like opportunities, it cannot be transactional, right?
Yeah.
It has to be transformational. And when we talk about transformational, we are talking about like, how do you trust this person? Is it relationship? Is it networking? Is it knowing the other person? How do we trust this person? So the more we know about those people, so basically we are going deep in a person. So when we meet a lot of people and when we do networking, it's all like superficial. But when these masterminds, we know that person, know that individual or the couple or the family or whoever it is, right? We go deeper in their relationship.
That's 100% right. You know why? Because some of my like close friends that have become, I mean, it came out of like, I've developed some relationships close from these masterminds just by going there and like, doing life with them, trusting them. That's an amazing thing that you just said, man.
Yeah.
Because and then you end up doing business with them, deals with them, because you can trust them. Everybody thinks the same way, That's So
you nailed it.
relationships,
You nailed it in the head.
yeah, awesome.
Because a business only is as good as the people who are running the show, and the way you do it is with relationships. A lot of people, they go in some sort of a deal, or they try to sell something, or they try to buy something. It's all transactional. But how do you take that transaction? How do you convert it into transformational, right? So that is what I learned. That was the biggest second takeaway. So you nailed it right on the spot there, Tom.
Yeah, so that's the second one. That's awesome, man. I mean, even Jonny, you can say, I saw your post the other day about all those people that you were sitting in that restaurant
Oh yeah.
And these are guys who are thinking big, and we want them to pull us into that level, right? I mean, we want them to pull us into that level. Now the thing is, when usually we hang around with people who are in our same level and stuff like that, and some people are like, oh no, I don't know if I want to do that. I mean, no, these guys are like motivated, they want to go to the next level. And when you see that, man, something just lights inside of you and just pushes you to the next level. And so I'm grateful. I've been,
Tom, you said it right. You said it right. I mean, if you are the average of 5 people you hang around with,
yeah,
and when I saw Johnny's post there, all those people that he was hanging around with, those were some pretty big hitters in there,
yeah,
right? So
Yeah.
if you are surrounded by these guys and you are constantly like, in conversation with them, you are, exchanging ideas. And you know what? The best part is if you have this transformational experience with these guys, you have this relationship with these guys. I mean, it will change your life for
right.
sure.
In the first mastermind I went to, the guy sitting right next to me, he came in his own jet. I mean,
There you
the
go.
guy, I'm like, wait. The guy, like couple rows from me, he came in his
And I
another
think I
guy
know who
came
you're
in his
talking
own
about.
jet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
these are the guys that you get to meet and think big. We think, okay, I mean, where we are is like we've made something. When we see some of these guys, I mean, we
Mhm.
think like, man, I'm nothing. I need to go to that level.
And you always strive for it, which brings a
Yeah.
third point, right? The third point is like when we were talking about is, hey, how do you have that vision? How do you have that long-term vision? How do you have that 10-year, 15-year, 20 years, right?
Mm.
However, it starts with increments. And it always
Right.
starts out with the what's your next target, your next goal, what's your next point. So, anytime when we are driving on a highway, when we are going like from point A to point B, if it's a 2-hour drive, you have those mile markers, right? And when you have those
Right.
mile markers, we are
Markers, yeah.
constantly like striving, hey, you know what, mile 21, mile 22, mile 23. Same thing with marathon, when we are running like 100-mile marathon, which I never ran, of course, but if these guys are running marathons, they have those little mile markers that's going in. So your mindset, your thing should be focused on what's coming up next and take it in bit-sized pieces and just keep churning it, churning it, churning it. By the time you're done, you've completed a race. And that's another takeaway that I learned. It's
That's
when we
awesome.
are, yeah, when we are investing, when we are looking at long term, we are not just looking at 10 years and go like, oh wow, 10 years is such a long time. We can't, we there's no way we can do it. But if you start breaking it down into months, into years, year after year, you keep doing it again and again, repeat, repeat, repeat. I mean, we will get there eventually. And by year 10, when you look back, you'll be like, oh my goodness, I mean, I've amassed this much, opportunities, right? So
And
anything
the
in life,
network goes
gotta
up.
take it,
Mm.
yeah, gotta take it step at a time, network with people, meet people. And this is what Ed Mylett calls invisible progress.
Mhm.
So very, very, very powerful. We always try to churn the whole thing. We always try to take everything up at once, but you gotta take it in step.
Yeah.
Good example, Jonny.
Mm.
I mean, if you agree, when we entered like dental school, D1, and when you look at, those guys at D4, they're graduating, you're like, oh shoot, man, when am I gonna get there, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. That seems
Right?
like a eternity away, man.
Or something which you can't even imagine, like, ever going to happen to us. But what do? We start breaking it down by semester. We start breaking it down by courses. Hey, you know what? Tomorrow we got to do farm. We got to do path. We got to do this. So we just keep going and going and going and going. By the time you're done, you're like, hey, D1, D2, D3, D4, we're done. And then you're graduating. Now you got, you're working. So you're like, oh, shit, we actually did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great
Right. So the
analogy.
long-term vision that you got, we have to break it down into like
Into
bit-sized
chunks.
pieces, chunks, and then you start navigating. And it makes
And
life a lot more easy, a lot more fun, achievable. You can reach your goals and you're happy, you're satisfied.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's great, man. That's great. It's
So yeah, so
definitely,
those
yeah,
were my
if you
three
have
big
a
takeaways
long-term goal, but
from,
then you put your head down and you're like, listen, I need to get X done by Q1,
Right now.
end of
Right.
Q1. And then,
yeah,
you break it down into by month and then by
Mhm.
week. And then, every day I'm going to
absolutely.
do a little bit to move towards this. And if you're doing that continuously, day after day, week after week, quarter after quarter, all of a sudden
It
you're
will.
moving mountains, right?
Right.
So
You are.
So I mean, that's a great thing that you just said about, like, long-term vision, taking action, baby steps, and then getting to that ultimate goal, which, I mean, this is an investing group. So if we were to summarize, I would say in terms of investing, a lot of people that we know that who got wealthy investing passively, they did not get wealthy in that first investment. They invested, they saw
No.
the returns, then they kept up with it, like consistent action. I mean, not only in investing, anything in life, you just keep chipping at it, chipping at it, chipping at it, and boom, 3 years later, you're like, man, I'm sitting on this big, big return. So anything in life, just like consistent action, keep going. One day you wake up, you'll be surprised at the results. And then it'll be a cycle that nobody can stop.
And you know what? You got to be moving in the positive direction. You can't just be like,
Right.
you know, like pretending you're taking action and not, you know, not moving forward. I mean, even that's not no good, right?
Yeah.
So for sure, absolutely.
Awesome. Awesome. That was awesome.
Jonny, what do you got to add, Jonny?
No, I mean, I think this was, I got a lot from your takeaways from this mastermind, and I didn't have to pay. And the best part is I didn't have to pay a dime for it. So thank you for
That's
sharing.
the whole idea, man. We share, we collaborate, right? So
yeah,
like, you
that's
know,
the
when
goal of this group, you know, to do
yeah,
that.
when you go to masterminds, we pick your brain and we go like, hey, what did you learn, right?
It's a collective, collaborative space. You know, there's multifamilies, even syndications from limited investors, limited partners to general partners, to sponsors, to property managers. It's a whole team game, you know, and like we talked about, it's a relationship game. No matter what the name of these companies and blah, 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 it still comes down to the people, right?
Yeah.
It's the
people that
people
are going to be actually doing the things. It's going to be the people that are going to be living in those apartment units. You know, so it's going to be the people that are investing in those things. So it is a people game. And so the relationship part is, I thought that was very important, what you talked about. Obviously,
that's real, man.
and breaking that down, I really liked. And then the mindset thing. You know, I would comment on, you know, your mind, you bring about having the right mindset to invest and having the ability to pull the trigger, even if you know everything deep in your heart. And I've had investors that know deep in their heart, they have the capital to invest. They know they want to invest in real estate. They know it's a solid deal. They know the returns look beyond what they could, and they still somehow
sit on the sidelines.
Can't get over the hump of actually wiring the money and making the investment.
Right.
And that's completely 1000% a mindset thing.
Yeah.
And that some investors, some people they get it, or some people are maybe less careful.
It's just this. I think Jonny, it's just this too. Like mindset. I mean, it's all about the mindset, right? Like, what do you think is who you become? Now, there is at some point a lot of people are just gathering information. They're like watching shows, watching shows and reading up. And at some point, you got to pull the trigger. You got to take action. You know, you got to take some kind of action, and then you will become comfortable. I mean, you got
good intentions without action is nothing more than a dream and a wish.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Right. Great statement right there. So yeah, man, that was great.
Yeah, great.
No,
absolutely. I was thinking, you know, Noel, I mean, I know we talked about keeping this short. Like, how about, I'm sure people have questions. Maybe the next session we can, you know, take some questions on this.
I mean, if you have any questions even about what we're talking about now, we can answer some questions now in the chat.
In the chat, right. So
you know, one thing I just want to add up really quick is when I was talking to these guys, I mean, these guys who've been doing it for decades and years, one of the reasons they were so successful, and I was asking them like, how are the deals so successful, and how are these guys are able to return so much back to the investors? You know, everybody had one word, and that stood out for me was integrity. You know, having that integrity and making sure, like, you know, every single time, and it's the same repeat investors. They told me their secret was making sure like their investors are like our patients, are like our team members in the office, right? I mean, it makes sense. And me being like only a year and a half, and I think I've learned so much just leveraging their experience and their track record. I mean, it's priceless. So they had like integrity, you know, they had accountability, being humble and making sure like, everyone is first before them.
Mm.
And that's what they said. You just got to be a giver before you be a taker. So that was all the secrets. And
That's huge.
and I think
That's
it
huge,
was
man. That's
huge.
powerful.
That's powerful.
Integrity and ethics
Ethics.
is crucial, is essential for long-term survival,
Right.
long-term success. I mean, that's a well-known adage, and I think you drove that home excellently with that point. I think we covered a lot today. I hope everybody, enjoyed the live. We're virtual. No, we're changing the title of this a little bit. Instead of calling it a webinar, we're going to be calling this a what are we calling this again?
Virtual meeting.
Virtual meeting, multifamily passive investing virtual meeting. So that's what we're doing, and we're going to be going live. We're going to be start doing this starting in the
Virtual
new
event,
year.
basically.
Instead of every other Tuesday, we are going to be doing it every single Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, just exclusively for this group, for the sake of this group, for us to all collectively learn, get better, and understand about investing passively and building cash flows, building wealth, getting tax advantages, and everything we're doing. We try to do this together. Opportunities from learning, knowledge, exchanging of information, because collectively we can all succeed in this space and arena.
Cool.
Yeah, and lastly, just I want to add is we are in different groups. We are leveraging other people, and we have like, the one of the best masterminds like in the whole nation, like we are part of, all three of us. And we have opportunities, we have deals, we have a lot of things that we share with our friends and family. So even if you are just wanting to learn, even just like doing nothing, that's absolutely fine. And learning is a big component in this thing here. If you are interested in like any of the opportunities that we are in, or we are interested, just contact one of us. We can go over like, any numbers, any deals that, you guys are in that you want to underwrite, any kind of apartments that you guys are looking into. I know I had a couple of DMs that you guys were looking at a 6-unit and a 7-unit, bring them over. Tom, Jonny, and myself will be more than happy to like underwrite the whole thing and just break it down for you, for the learning process.
Yeah.
If you guys are interested in any kind of opportunities we are in, tag us, let us know, and then we can always share a lot of a wealth of information on that part. If you guys don't want to do anything and just want to sit on the sidelines, that's absolutely fine. Just keep watching, and you can learn a ton, and maybe in the future you might just want to do something about it.
Right.
So we are always here to provide value with our mastermind, with our group that we have, and leverage us for the thousands of dollars that we've paid, and you guys can take advantage of it. Right, Tom?
Absolutely. You hit the nail right on the head, man. I mean, all these masterminds that I go, go, Jonny goes, these are some of the top guys in the nation, and then we learn a lot. We are so happy and excited to share this with you guys, and that's really the whole point of this group. So hit us up anytime with any questions. So thank you guys for joining.
Thank you guys, and we'll see you.
We'll see you
next time.
Next time.
Have a good one.